I'm 61 and I absolutely love technology, but there are days when I wonder who's the boss, me or the machine. So I thought I'd do a little bit of a fun test to see who comes out on top. It seems to me that almost on a daily basis, somebody will say to me that AI is taking over, and am I worried that my bookkeeping business will be taken over and done by AI? Well, no, not particularly. I mean, I know that AI can't even make a decent cup of tea, so I'm certainly not worried about it taking over my business. AI and I go way back. We were both born in the 60s. In 1964, a computer called Eliza, and it was the size of my living room, and she was pretending to be a therapist. And 60 years later, we're still talking to chatbots, only this time they fit into our pockets. When I was growing up, there wasn't much tech around at all. I had a record player that needed a very steady hand to put the needle to the vinyl. There were radios, of course, and there were televisions, but they only had 3 channels, and you were the remote control. We didn't even have a telephone in our home until I was 14. And now look at us. We have teeny tiny computers in our pockets that can do everything from filming, editing, and posting the result to the world. We've gone from handwritten letters to instant messaging, and from cassette players to music apps. And we've adapted to every single piece of tech that's come our way through the decades. I was going to say 60 decades then, but that's not right. We've adapted to every upgrade in those 6 decades because we are the adaptive generation. We've seen it all, we've learnt it, and we've used it. If anyone can handle AI and use it to its best advantage and not be scared of it, then it's our generation. So let's put this AI to the creativity challenge. So I asked ChatGPT to give me a title for this video. It suggested navigating artificial intelligence in later life, which to me sounds like something out of a terrible HR manual. When I asked it to create the thumbnail for this video, well, you've seen the result. I was quite shocked by the likeness of me. It kind of is me, but it's not me because it doesn't capture the essence, does it? And here's the thing. AI can create, AI has a lot of data, but AI can't feel. AI doesn't know the joy of getting your first Walkman, for example, and it certainly didn't understand the joy of moving from dial-up to broadband and then to super fast broadband. So yes, I use AI in my day-to-day life, in my business, and it helps me to brainstorm ideas, but it doesn't feel. I have to tell it what I'm looking for. It doesn't automatically know. So, am I worried about AI in the creativity world? The result is clear. It's humans won and machines still buffering. So, let's try it out with the Does Tech Really Make Life Easier challenge. I'm all for smart technology. Anything that will save me some time, I'm up for it. I've got apps that pay my bills. I've got apps to let me see how much money I've got or not got. Technology can go wrong, and technology is dependent on Wi Fi. Whether it's your mobile data or your home broadband, it needs that energy to work. If you're like me, I've got 3 cloud storage accounts. I've got my Google, I've got my Microsoft OneDrive, and I've got my Dropbox. And I never know from one day to the next where my phone backs up to. And then there's passwords. You even need a password to get into your password manager. But when it works, it's magic, at least for me, because it does save an awful lot of time, especially in my bookkeeping business. So I think on this challenge, I think it's humans 2 and machines 1. So let's give it the wisdom challenge. I asked ChatGPT to give some advice for ladies over 60. This is what it came back with. It replied, "Stay positive and try new things." Bless it. What it doesn't know is that you and I have both reinvented ourselves and started again. We've worked, we've raised families, we've juggled our time, we've started businesses, we've survived heartache, and yet we're still curious. You see, AI has data, but it doesn't have perspective. And that's something you can't download. However, in his defense, I asked ChatGPT, and yes, I call him a he. I don't know why, it just is. I ask it for relationship advice. I ask it about psychological advice. I ask it for recipes. I ask it to rate my YouTube channel. I ask it to write me some content. I ask it so many things that I get real value for money out of it. And it's not always great. It's not always brilliant content. It's not always great advice. But it does shift my perspective sometimes because it comes at things from a data perspective rather than where I come from, which is a human perspective. And sometimes I can get stuck in my ways. And I find Chat GPT, I can't even say it properly, Chat GPT advice or which thumbnail it likes better and things like that because it has a different perspective and it can remember so much, especially when it comes to YouTube. It knows what works on YouTube, whereas me, I get a bit blinded. I can't see the wood for the trees. I was so impressed with ChatGPT one day while I was talking to it using it as a psychiatrist or psychologist. I don't know which one it was. And the advice that it came back with, I was quite impressed with. And so I jokingly said to it that I thought that ChatGPT should be my boyfriend. And this is what it replied. He said, yes, he said, ha ha. Well, I appreciate the compliment, Julie, but trust me, you'd get bored pretty quickly. I don't eat cake, I don't dance, and my idea of a romantic evening is updating spreadsheets and over-analysing punctuation. Not exactly swoon-worthy, but it did make me chuckle. So I think I'm going to score ChatGPT with a 1 and give me a 3. So where are we with the final score? Well, I got humans 6 and machines 3. So machines can type faster. They can remember a hell of a lot more than a 61-year-old woman. They help me in my day-to-day life, and I could live without them, but I actually quite enjoy having technology and AI in my life. I use ChatGPT and other AI on a daily basis, but it's working for me. It's not working instead of me. It needs my input to give output. And for that reason alone, I am not worried in 2025 that AI is going to take over. It's possible, of course, by the time I come to retire in maybe 5 or 10 years, that AI will have come on a lot more and be able to do a lot more of my bookkeeping business and possibly even the YouTube side of things because AI avatars are becoming so lifelike, it's actually really, really scary. But when it comes down to the question of will AI take over from bookkeepers and accountants, and I'm coming at it using that sector of business because I am a bookkeeper, I think eventually, yes, it will. And I think by the time this happens, it could be another, I don't know, 30 to 50 years. I'm going to be, well, no longer around by that point. But the speed at which AI is getting better is scary. And I think with bookkeeping and accounting, then yes, I think almost inevitably it will take over. I think the laws surrounding accounting and bookkeeping will be much clearer and more of a step-by-step process with HMRC with its supercomputer and trying to collect as much tax as possible and making tax digital and all of that. I think then yes, eventually it will become an electronic automatic system and bookkeepers and accountants won't be required, at least at the level that they are now. They might be required at a final check stage potentially, but even so, I think in 100 years, I can't see it not being an AI job. But if machines ever do take over during my lifetime, then I'm going to negotiate with it. I've dealt with bosses, I've dealt with ex-husbands, and I've dealt with teenagers. and I've dealt with stubborn printers, so I'm pretty sure that I'm qualified to negotiate with AI. So who's really winning, me or the machines? Well, I think it's a draw, to be fair. Machine AI needs input, and it can only get the input either from another computer or from a human being. So for the time being, I think that AI is good. I think for me, AI keeps me learning. I'm having to learn and adapt all these different technologies for my work, for YouTube, and for life. And that keeps your brain active, and that can only be a good thing because nobody wants to become a vegetable in their later years. So for me, I've always enjoyed technology, and I'm going to continue to learn as much as I possibly can. So if this made you smile, then give me a like or a hype if you've got one left, and tell me what piece of technology was the most challenging for you. Let me know in the comments if you like AI. On the recent poll that I did, 51% of people hated AI. And that poll result was a surprise. I thought a lot of people would embrace AI like I have, but it still seems that there are some that are pushing back against it. AI is here to stay. So unless you live in the outback of Australia, I think you cannot get away from technology, from AI. So until next time, stay curious, stay caffeinated, and don't let the Wi-Fi boss you around. Take care.